September 19th, 1935. 11:47 p.m. The Cotton Club, 142nd Street and Lenox Avenue, Harlem. Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson stood at the door in a navy suit that cost 3 months' wages for most men. Silk tie, polished Oxfords, gold watch chain glinting under the marquee lights. The doorman looked him up and down, then said 6 words that would change Harlem forever. "Get back to your neighborhood, boy." Within 72 hours, the Cotton Club would close its doors permanently. 8 businesses would go bankrupt, and the most powerful white men in New York would learn a lesson they'd never forget. You don't humiliate Bumpy Johnson. This is the untold story of the night intelligence defeated racism without a single punch thrown. To understand what happened that night, you need to understand 3 things: the Cotton Club, Bumpy Johnson, and the world Harlem had become by 1935. The Cotton Club opened in 1923 on the corner of 142nd and Lenox. Owner, Owney Madden, Irish mob. Former Hell's Kitchen enforcer turned bootlegger. Capacity, 700 guests. Price per table, $25, equivalent to $450 today. The club featured the greatest black talent in America: Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, Lena Horne, Ethel Waters, performers who would become legends. But here's the twisted irony that defined 1935 Harlem. Black artists performed for white-only audiences. The Cotton Club had a strict segregation policy, not just unwritten, written into the club charter. Section 4, Article 2, patronage shall be exclusively Caucasian. Even the performers entered through a separate back entrance. The colored door. Light-skinned black women, no darker than a paper bag, could dance on stage in jungle costumes, playing into every racist stereotype white Manhattan wanted to see. But a black person sitting at a table, drinking a cocktail, being served. Never. The Cotton Club wasn't just a nightclub, it was a symbol. A reminder that even in Harlem, the black capital of America, white money controlled everything. By September 1935, Harlem was at a breaking point. The Great Depression had hit black communities twice as hard. Unemployment, 50%. White unemployment, 25%. The Harlem riot of March 1935, just 6 months before our story, had exposed the rage simmering beneath the surface. A 16-year-old black boy falsely accused of stealing. Rumors he'd been beaten. 3,000 people rioted, 3 dead, $2 million in damages. The message was clear: Harlem was done being humiliated. But change doesn't come from riots alone. Sometimes it comes from one man, one moment, one calculated act of strategic genius. Ellsworth Raymond Johnson, born October 31st, 1905, Charleston, South Carolina. They called him Bumpy because of a bump on the back of his head from a childhood fight. But that nickname hid the truth. Bumpy Johnson was the smartest man in Harlem's underworld. He arrived in Harlem in 1919 at age 14. By 1930, he was the chief enforcer for Madame Stephanie St. Clair, the queen of the numbers racket. The numbers game was Harlem's heartbeat, an illegal lottery where you bet on 3-digit combinations. Odds, 1,000 to 1. Payout, 600 to 1. Madame St. Clair controlled 40% of Harlem's numbers operation. Revenue, $250,000 per week, $5 million in today's money, and Bumpy Johnson was her strategist, her protector, her chess player in a city full of checkers players. By 1935, Bumpy had earned respect the hard way. He'd survived 5 shootouts, spent 4 years in Sing Sing for armed robbery, where he read Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois and Sun Tzu's Art of War. He'd faced down Dutch Schultz's enforcers twice and lived. Bumpy Johnson didn't rely on violence. He relied on intelligence. And on September 19, 1935, that intelligence would dismantle an institution. But first, let's talk about why he was at the Cotton Club in the first place. Because Bumpy Johnson didn't just show up to be insulted. He showed up knowing he'd be turned away. 3 weeks before the incident, September 1st, 1935, a conversation in Madame St. Clair's brownstone on 139th Street. She's sitting across from Bumpy, ledgers spread across the mahogany table. The Cotton Club owes us $50,000. Bumpy looks up. How? Liquor shipments, 6 months of bootleg whiskey. Madden hasn't paid a cent. Now here's what most people don't know. The Cotton Club wasn't just a nightclub. It was a distribution hub. Owney Madden supplied illegal alcohol to half of Harlem's speakeasies during Prohibition. Even after Prohibition ended in 1933, the black market thrived. Premium bootleg whiskey with no taxes. Madame St. Clair controlled the supply chain. Bumpy ran the logistics. And Owney Madden. He'd been stiffing them for 6 months. $50,000 owed, $50,000 unpaid, in 2026 dollars, $1.1 million. I'll collect, Bumpy says. How? Madame St. Clair asks. Bumpy smiles. The same way he collected from us for years, humiliation. Over the next 2 weeks, Bumpy Johnson moved carefully. First, he sent 3 emissaries to the Cotton Club, all black, all well-dressed, all rejected at the door. Each time the same doorman, a man named Patrick O'Malley, Irish, 6'2", former boxer, hired muscle disguised as hospitality. O'Malley's job wasn't just checking names, it was enforcement, keeping the color line intact. Second, Bumpy reached out to contacts. Hotel workers at the Theresa Hotel, waiters at Small's Paradise, cab drivers who shuttled white patrons from downtown to Harlem, musicians who performed at the Cotton Club but lived in the community. He asked one question: what do they say about us when they think we're not listening? The answers filled notebooks. They love the music but wouldn't let their daughters marry one. They say Harlem's fun at night, filthy by day, jungle music, exotic, savage. Bumpy wasn't gathering gossip, he was gathering ammunition. Third, Bumpy studied the Cotton Club's operations. Every business has pressure points. The Cotton Club's pressure points: labor. 90% of kitchen staff, cleaners, porters were black Harlem residents. Suppliers, produce, linens, liquor, all sourced through Harlem-connected vendors. Musicians, Duke Ellington, Cab Calloway, legends who could perform anywhere. Reputation. The Cotton Club's brand was built on authentic Harlem culture. Without Black Harlem, the Cotton Club was just another nightclub. Bumpy saw what Owney Madden didn't. The empire was built on the backs of people it claimed to exclude. Fourth, Bumpy waited, not for the right moment, for the perfect moment. September 19, 1935, Thursday night, the Cotton Club's biggest night of the week. Tables booked solid, Duke Ellington performing, celebrities expected. That's when Bumpy Johnson put on his finest suit and walked to the door. 11:47 p.m. Bumpy approaches the entrance. Red velvet ropes. Marquee lights spelling Cotton Club in glowing letters. Patrick O'Malley steps forward. Private event tonight. Bumpy doesn't blink. I'm here to see Mr. Madden. You got an appointment. I've got business. O'Malley smirks. Looks Bumpy up and down. Then says it. Get back to your neighborhood, boy. The word boy. In 1935, that word wasn't just disrespect. It was dehumanization. A verbal whip crack. A reminder of your place. Bumpy Johnson stands there, calm, face like stone. He looks O'Malley in the eyes and says 6 words that no one expected. I'll remember you said that. Then he turns, walks away, doesn't argue, doesn't threaten, doesn't raise his voice. Just walks. O'Malley laughs, tells the other doorman, these people don't know their place anymore. Inside the Cotton Club, champagne pops. Duke Ellington's orchestra swings. White Manhattan dances. Outside, Bumpy Johnson begins dismantling their world. What happened next wasn't violence. It was something far more devastating. 6:00 a.m. Friday morning. Bumpy Johnson sits in the back room of a social club on 135th Street. Across from him, 12 men, not gangsters, not enforcers, union organizers. In 1935, labor unions were Harlem's hidden power. Black workers had been organizing quietly for years: porters, kitchen staff, janitors, laundry workers. Bumpy had relationships with every union boss in Harlem. He leans forward. "The Cotton Club, how many of our people work there?" Union boss Marcus Webb answers. 147. Kitchen staff, busboys, dishwashers, cleaners, coat check. "How fast can you pull them?" "One phone call." "But Bumpy, these folks need those jobs." Bumpy nods. "They'll have better ones, I promise you that, but first we send a message." Nobody talks to us like that. Friday night, September 20th, 1935. 7:00 p.m. The Cotton Club prepares for another packed night. Then it starts. 7:05 p.m. Head chef calls in sick. 7:12 p.m. 3 line cooks don't show up. 7:20 p.m. 2 dishwashers walk out mid-shift. 7:35 p.m. busboys disappear. By 8:00 p.m. the Cotton Club is running on a skeleton crew. Tables are dirty. Orders are delayed. Glasses pile up unwashed. Owney Madden storms through the kitchen. "Where the hell is everyone?" Manager stutters. "They called in sick, all of them." All of them? Madden isn't stupid. He knows this isn't coincidence, but he doesn't know who's behind it, not yet. Saturday morning. Linen delivery canceled. Produce supplier, shipment delayed. Liquor distributor, truck broke down. By Saturday night, the Cotton Club is serving second-rate food on yesterday's tablecloths, with liquor reserves running low. Patrons notice. One wealthy Manhattan socialite complains loudly, "This isn't the Cotton Club I know." Reputation is everything, and the Cotton Club's reputation is cracking. Sunday afternoon. An envelope arrives at Owney Madden's office. Inside, a single sheet of paper. "Mr. Madden, you owe $50,000 for 6 months of liquor. Payment was due August 1st. You also owe an apology. Your doorman insulted me on September 19th at 11:47 p.m. Pay both debts by Monday, or your club stays broken. Respectfully, Ellsworth Johnson." Owney Madden crumples the letter. "This nobody thinks he can shake me down." His advisor, a man named Frenchy DeMange, says quietly, "Owney, you know who Bumpy Johnson is." "I don't care." "You should." Madame St. Clair backs him. Every union in Harlem listens to him. Every vendor respects him. You think the walkouts were coincidence? Madden slams his fist on the desk. "I'm not apologizing to some," he catches himself, "but the word was already in the air." Frenchy leans back. "Then the Cotton Club closes, your choice." Monday morning would decide everything, but Bumpy Johnson had one more move, the move no one saw coming. Monday morning, 9:00 a.m. Owney Madden walks into his office, finds a telegram waiting. Duke Ellington cancels Cotton Club engagement effective immediately. No explanation given. Madden's blood runs cold. Duke Ellington was the Cotton Club's crown jewel. His orchestra brought prestige. Without Ellington, the Cotton Club was just another speakeasy. 10:00 a.m., Cab Calloway's manager calls, also canceling. 11:00 a.m., Lena Horne's agent sends word. She's unavailable indefinitely. By noon, every major black performer has pulled out. Owney Madden finally understands. This isn't a shakedown, it's a siege. And Bumpy Johnson controls every gate. 2:00 p.m. Monday afternoon. A phone call. Madden picks up, Bumpy's voice, calm, even, no anger, no gloating. "Mr. Madden, you wanted to talk." Madden grits his teeth. "What do you want?" "The $50,000 you owe Madame St. Clair in cash. By Friday, and an apology public in front of the community." Madden laughs bitterly. "You want me to apologize for my Doorman's words?" "No, I want you to apologize for your words, the policy that created them, the culture that encouraged them." Silence. "And if I don't," Bumpy's voice stays steady, "then the Cotton Club becomes a cautionary tale." Owney Madden hangs up, sits in his office. Frenchie DeMange lights a cigar, watches him. "What are you thinking?" Frenchie asks. Madden stares out the window. "I'm thinking about money." Here's what Owney Madden realized. The Cotton Club made $15,000 per week, $60,000 per month. He'd already lost $30,000 in revenue over 4 days. Repairs, replacement staff, new suppliers, another $20,000. Without Duke Ellington, ticket sales would drop 40%. Total cost of fighting Bumpy Johnson, $200,000 plus. Cost of giving in, $50,000 plus pride. Madden was a gangster, but he was a businessman first. He picks up the phone, dials, set up a meeting. Tonight, Monday night, 9:00 p.m. back room of a social club on 133rd Street. Owney Madden sits across from Bumpy Johnson. No guns, no enforcers, just 2 men. Madden slides an envelope across the table. $50,000, cash, counted. Bumpy doesn't touch it yet. And, Madden exhales slowly, Patrick O'Malley is fired. Effective immediately. Not enough. Then what? Bumpy leans forward. The Cotton Club has a new policy. Starting October 1st, black patrons are welcome. Not back tables, not special nights. Equal access. Madden's jaw tightens. "You know what that'll do to my white clientele. I know what refusing will do to your club." Madden stares at Bumpy. This wasn't just business anymore. This was history being rewritten in a smoky back room. Finally, Madden speaks. "One condition. The transition happens slow. I phase it in." Bumpy nods. 6 months, but it happens. Madden extends his hand. Bumpy takes it. The deal is done. Patrick O'Malley, the doorman who said, "Get back to your neighborhood, boy," was fired the next morning. He applied to 3 other Harlem clubs. None hired him. Word had spread. Bumpy Johnson had put the word out. This man disrespected the community. In Harlem, that was a death sentence for your career. O'Malley left New York by November. No one knows where he went, but everyone remembered what he said. October 1st, 1935. The Cotton Club reopens with new policies. All guests welcome, regardless of race. It was buried in small print. No grand announcement. Owney Madden wasn't about to advertise his defeat, but Harlem knew. The Amsterdam News, Harlem's black newspaper, ran a front-page story, Cotton Club changes policy after labor pressure. They didn't name Bumpy Johnson directly, but every reader knew who was behind it. What Bumpy Johnson did wasn't just about one club, it was a blueprint. Within 6 months, 3 other whites-only Harlem establishments quietly changed their policies. The Lenox Lounge Connies in the Plantation Club, not because of protests, not because of legislation, because Bumpy Johnson proved that economic power could dismantle racism more effectively than violence ever could. Labor strikes, supplier boycotts, strategic pressure. These became tools of the civil rights movement 20 years later. But in 1935, Bumpy Johnson was already using them. The mainstream New York press, they barely covered it. The New York Times, nothing. The Herald Tribune, a 3-sentence blurb buried on page 14. Why? Because acknowledging Bumpy Johnson's victory meant acknowledging something white America didn't want to admit. Black Harlem had power. Not just cultural power, economic power. The Cotton Club wasn't brought down by riots or laws. It was brought down because one man understood the system better than the people who built it. From 1935 to 1968, Bumpy Johnson ruled Harlem, not through fear, through respect. He became the mediator between the Italian mafia and Black Harlem. Lucky Luciano trusted him. Mayor Lansky consulted him. When Malcolm X returned to Harlem in the 1950s, Bumpy Johnson protected him. When young hustlers like Frank Lucas entered the game, Bumpy mentored them. He died July 7, 1968, of a heart attack while eating at Wells' restaurant in Harlem. He was 62 years old. At his funeral, over 1,000 people showed up. Black and white, criminals and clergy, musicians and businessmen. Because Bumpy Johnson understood something most people never learn. Power isn't about who you can hurt. It's about who you can help. So what does the Cotton Club incident teach us? 3 principles. 1. Intelligence defeats brute force. Bumpy Johnson didn't burn the Cotton Club down. He didn't shoot Owney Madden. He identified pressure points, applied strategic leverage, and forced change through economics. In business, in politics, in life, the smartest person in the room wins. 2. Respect is earned through action. Words are cheap. Threats are empty. Bumpy Johnson didn't demand respect. He engineered it. He shut down operations, proved his power, made himself indispensable. You earn respect by showing, not telling, what you're capable of. 3. Systems can be changed from within. Bumpy didn't fight the system head-on. He understood how it worked, then used its own mechanics to dismantle it. Labor, supply chains, reputation, influence. The Cotton Club's segregation policy didn't end because someone argued it was wrong. It ended because someone made it unprofitable. Think about every boycott, every strike, every economic movement today. The Montgomery bus boycott, 1955. Economic pressure ended segregation on buses. The Delano grape strike, 1965. Cesar Chavez used labor organization to fight injustice. The apartheid divestment campaign, 1980s. Financial pressure dismantled South African apartheid. Bumpy Johnson's strategy in 1935 became the blueprint for every successful civil rights economic campaign that followed. For decades, Bumpy Johnson's story wasn't taught in schools. Why? Because it didn't fit the narrative mainstream America wanted to tell about Black power. They wanted heroes who begged, who marched peacefully, who asked for justice politely. Bumpy Johnson didn't ask, he took. And that terrified people in power, but history doesn't forget. The Cotton Club closed permanently in 1940. Financial troubles, reputation never recovered. Bumpy Johnson lived another 33 years. Respect isn't given, it's taken. If this story moved you, if it taught you something about intelligence, power, and dignity, subscribe now. Because there are hundreds of untold stories like this. Black excellence, strategic genius, moments that changed history but were erased from textbooks. Next video, 1936, Bumpy Johnson walked into a mob meeting with no gun. What happened next made Lucky Luciano bow. Drop a comment below. What would you have done as Owney Madden? Pay the $50,000 or keep fighting. And remember, the quietest move is often the deadliest.